You could take a budget from a client, buy some links with 10% of the budget, and you pocket the 90% of the budget. SEO was seen as this black box, dark art thing, and because we had a load of mathematicians and data people, they just looked at it and thought, I'm not getting involved in that. So chunk it down that way, show the full journey, but say, well, actually, we just need to do this thing. And the important thing that they said around that was, it's showing value. So stage one needs to deliver value. It was that realization. We didn't know we were doing PR. We had no idea.
Yeah.
It was only when we started going to try to sell it to clients, or pitch these campaigns to clients, and the clients would say, well, I've got a PR agency doing that.
A lot of agencies love a shiny North Star. Then reality bites. This week, I'm joined by Chris Attewell, former CEO of Search Laboratory and now a board advisor at Realise Advisory, to focus on what he would do differently. We revisit the history of SEO, and he sets out what he would change for today's AI-shaped search. Fewer hacks, more intent, and clearer links between content, product, and PR. He explains how he'd stop big ideas from stalling. One owner, simple goals, set timelines, and a weekly check-in that clears blockers on the spot. I've known Chris for over 10 years, more like 15 years, and he tells us the tips and advice that he'd use if he was to sell again. He's been through the process, but this podcast is really, really useful because we talk about the history of SEO, where it's going with AI, and we look at the future of what it will all mean for you, the marketer. So if you're interested in what AI is doing to search and a little bit of the history of how SEO has changed and what you can take back to your desk from tomorrow, this podcast is going to be from you because Chris is brilliant. He knows everything that is to know about SEO, which is why I got him in the studio. So Will and I grill him. Hopefully you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's pod. Thank you very much. We interrupt this amazing podcast to tell you that, unfortunately, our production team made a bit of a boo-boo. In the true style of embracing marketing mistakes, we'd like to embrace a marketing mistake where, unfortunately, what he forgot to do was press record. So please embrace this marketing mistake, and we won't blame anyone because we don't have a blame culture, but it was Zach. Thank you. Chris Attewell, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, Chris, you used to be a client of ours, so please be friendly. And we've known each other for... How long have we known each other?
It's got to be 10 plus years.
10 years, yeah. And when I first met you, did you work in marketing or you worked in sales, right?
So I think we met...
Communicator Co-op.
Yeah, so...
Through my wife?
Yeah, through Lisa. So Lisa at the time was doing our outbound marketing or our lead gen.
Yeah.
And I think she put us in touch.
Yeah.
So it would have been more than 10 years because I left Communicator in 2011.
Okay, so Jesus Christ, 14 years.
There you go.
So, how did you go from and that was, you were head of sales and business development, right?
Yeah, well, I was doing new business sales, yeah.
And you were very good at it. So how did you go from that to the CEO of one of the UK's biggest CEO agencies in the country?
I worked with my boss at the time at Communicator for a while at Communicator, went to work at Search Labs.
Yeah.
And I followed him basically.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, I was selling, Communicator was email marketing software.
Okay.
So it was working with digital marketing and e-commerce people. So it wasn't a huge leap. It was moving from selling MarTech and software to selling marketing services. So I was doing sales basically.
What are they doing now, Communicator Co-op?
So they were acquired, just as I was leaving, they were acquired by Trinity Mirror.
Oh, okay.
And I think they've been rebranded a few times since. So still in existence, but a few different guises.
So obviously, you've been in SEO you've been in the SEO world sphere since 2000. Since then.
2012, maybe. Yeah.
And so, how has that changed to 2025? We've literally just done an event on AEO, GEO, and the fact that traffic has just dropped off a cliff. Yeah. I've said that I think it's the biggest thing to happening to Google since we've known each other. But I'd say since Google came out, I think this is the biggest change or threat to Google. Do you think that's fair?
They change all the time. Their business model, if you look over the years, has changed all the time. And they're good at adapting, which is what's made them successful. So I think while it's definitely a threat in the sense that there's change, they'll have been working in the background on solutions, products, ways around it without us knowing about it. They've built in AI overviews, they've built in AI mode, which is the more recent one. So they're doing lots of stuff in the background, and it's starting to appear. But I guess it's still early days. We'll see what happens.
I just felt they caught with their pants down, because I think they had Google DeepMind, right? And they had the world's top guys working on Google DeepMind, and away they were, being Google, clever, philosophizing over AI, building this amazing... and then ChatGPT just went, we'll just give you it all for free. Pants came down, and then everyone started going, hang on a minute, this is pretty cool. We can do generative AI, what we know as generative AI now. And we can do searches, and they're quite good. And they've just got better and better and better. And now there's like the VHS, Betamax for the younger listener.
I've not heard Betamax for a while.
There's the cassette tape, vinyl, mini disc.
I
love the mini disc.
I was trying to explain to my daughter in the car at the weekend about cassettes.
Yeah.
Actually, we were walking through Leeds Market, and they had the record
vinyl
fair on. Yeah, the vinyl fair on.
Love vinyl.
I was trying to explain to her. Yeah, you'd buy a cassette, and
it's such an impractical format, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're having a resurgence, though, aren't they? Cassettes, just like vinyl's
but
having.
Cassettes were shit quality.
Yeah,
right?
and they'd always snare up and everything.
Well, she was asking me as well. She was saying, like, what? It's like what you used in one of those Walkman things. I was like, can you imagine that? The early ones as well, before they had the shake control on, where you couldn't move.
And then, that was CDs.
You couldn't walk.
Well, I remember. I mean, this is how old I am. I remember having a tape deck with. Like the Walkman when it first came out. That's because I'm older than you, and I remember the Walkman, which was like Sony Walkman came out. Anyway, how did we get onto that? But it's that's literally what is happening right now. There's like 5 different providers of search, the providers of AI. You're right. Google's launched AI overview, but they did that because oh shit, hang on, everyone's going to ChatGPT is the fastest growing search engine. It's the fastest growing app, and they've always been the number one search engine. But I just find it fascinating that this whole, you're right, Google has evolved and changed and moved on, but I just felt like it's got caught a little bit with its pants down, and still they're battling it out. The Betamax, VHS, because it's them two, really. There's Perplexity on the edge of things, which is another search engine that people are using, and Anthropic and stuff like that. But I just think it's fascinating to see what is going to happen, because Google's just been, they have dominated everything, haven't they?
Yeah, totally. I feel like a lot of this is linked. It's more the past 3 years or so since ChatGPT and Gen AI, and there's been so many developments and so many new companies launching and new tools. At some point, there's going to be consolidation, because there's just so many different pots of investment being chucked at anything which is AI, and not all of them are going to succeed, and it's going to consolidate. And I guess if I had to bet on it, I would say that once that consolidation happens, Google's still going to be there as a key player, because they've got the legacy, they've got the budget, they've got the tech, they've got the
data,
they've got the data, they've got the clients, they've got the relationships, the partnerships. Like, it's going to be very difficult to topple Google. What they come out of this situation as, and how they evolve, that'll be interesting to see. But like that, I can't really see a world where they're going to be gone.
No, Google's not going to be gone. I just think it's just a fascinating. It's the biggest thing in digital marketing for 25 years. I think because it is an actual threat, isn't it? And the reason why I think it's a threat, and we'll get onto your history in a minute, because we started on your history, but is the ChatGPT is using, and I know this from the other day when I was looking at the sources, Bing results. Obviously, right. Microsoft, big investor in ChatGPT. And it's using Bing to get a lot of its search signals. And I'm like, nobody uses Bing. It's like, it was 5% of search traffic. You as running an SEO agency, you'll know that. Like, Microsoft want you to use Bing. Well, ChatGPT uses Bing. So that all of a sudden, that's another threat from another angle. I just think it's fascinating.
So how effective are SEO agencies at kind of adapting to this new world order then? I mean, obviously you're slightly removed from that now, aren't you? You're no longer a CEO of a search agency, so maybe you can give us kind of an objective overview.
He's available for hire, though, if anybody's out there.
I think it's not the first time it's evolved. And I think the best example that I've got was, if you go back early 2010s, when Google started dishing out penalties, so link penalties, I'm sure you'd have Penguin, Panda, all these penalties for people doing spammy, lower quality SEO.
Link farms.
And it was such a huge thing in the industry at the time. You had the majority of agencies, I'd say, were doing dodgy, spammy link building because it was really easy to make money doing it. You know, you could take a budget from a client, and then you maybe buy some links with 10% of the budget, and you pocket the 90% of the budget. So some of the agencies that were acquired around that time, when you looked at the kind of profit they were making, it was just like ridiculous. Our SEO team at the time, around that time, had noticed. So I guess just to backtrack a little bit, Search Laboratory was set up as a PPC agency.
Oh, really?
Yeah, originally. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh,
no, I kind of do remember that because I remember you saying it was full. I remember when you were telling me all about it when we first met about it, that there were a lot of the people that worked there were mathematicians, which amazed
Hence
me.
the laboratory bit.
Right.
So this was so it's coming up to 20 years now. In fact, it's 20 years this year. So Ian Harris, who founded the business, previously worked in, I guess, data in tech and stats, and he's very much like a data and numbers guy. So he saw that at the time, like PPC was new 20 years ago, and a lot of the budgets were being managed by media agencies, which wasn't very transparent and wasn't very mathematical. And I think they were using this new tool in the same way that they buy media, which is a little bit,
Make 20%.
Yeah, make a margin on it, and also not necessarily be very mathematical in the way they were managing it.
Got you.
So Ian saw that and thought, hold on, we can do better here. If we apply some kind of mathematical rigor to it and we're transparent with clients, we can carve a bit of a niche in the market. And that's where the company first got traction. But that then set the foundation for when we first started doing SEO.
Right.
Because for a while, SEO was seen as this black box, dark art thing. And because we had a load of mathematicians and data people, they just looked at it and thought, I'm not getting involved in that. That's like magic. That's like dodgy black magic stuff. So when we first decided to do it, this was even before I joined Search Labs, but the guys at the time decided to do it. They thought, we'll apply that mathematical, logical, and above all, transparent approach to SEO. So we never got involved in the really dodgy stuff. There were things that we were doing that, I guess, if you look back now, you just probably wouldn't do. But we never did the full-on dodgy stuff.
The blackout stuff.
Yeah, the really, really dodgy stuff. So
I suppose the money you can make through doing that, it must have been so tempting as a,
it was short term though.
Yeah.
You can see it was short term, couldn't you, Chris?
Well, I think that's our SEO guys could see it was short term. So I think this might have been when we first started to properly talk about working together. So our SEO guys at the time, they thought, well, hold on, if you can't buy links or even pay for links. So this was at the time when we were working with a lot of bloggers. Remember when it was bloggers before influencers and social media people? So like we would work with a lot of bloggers, and what we would do is we'd say, we'll write you a bit of content for your blog. And if you post it on your blog with a link back, then you get a bit of content from us and we get the link. And that was a fair trade.
Yeah.
But then all the bloggers started saying, well, actually, no.
I want a fee.
I want a fee.
Right.
I want some money. Now, technically, that's not paying for a link, because you could say, okay, I'll give you this fee for your time for posting it for me, but I'm not paying for a link. But you weren't paying for a link.
Ooh, dubious.
You weren't paying for a link.
Yeah.
So because they were then asking for more and more money, our SEO guys thought there's got to be a better way to do this. So we accidentally started doing PR. We accidentally started doing digital PR because we thought if we put some really, really good content on the client's website that's of interest to lots of other different sites, publications, blogs, and then we just tell them about it, it's in their interest to link to it, which is kind of like a digital PR approach.
Yeah.
So we started doing that before Penguin and Panda, but we were very, very early adopters in doing it.
Yeah, because I remember it.
Yeah, and it was hard, yeah.
I remember working together, and you were like, "Don't worry, we don't do PR." And then we got about 18 months into it, and you were like, Actually, I think we do sort of do PR now.
Yeah, it was that realization. We didn't know we were doing PR. We had no idea.
Yeah.
It was only when we started going to try to sell it to clients
Yeah.
or pitch these campaigns to clients, and the clients would say, well, a few things would happen, but quite common was they'd look at it and think, well, I've got a PR agency doing that. You guys can't do that. Or the digital team would bring us on, and then we'd start to try to run these campaigns. But then either the PR team or the PR agency working for the client or the comms team would look at our campaign or look at our list of journalists or look at our list of blogs and say, you can't speak to them, you can't speak to them, you can't speak to them. So we just couldn't deliver the campaigns. So it was that, it's a similar kind of time now, I think. That was a really big change in that part of SEO.
Yeah.
And it's a similar kind of thing at the moment, which is interesting.
And this is sort of leading us to what we were going to talk about, which is the North Star trap, which is kind of what you're talking about here, is the siloed, people that are working at brands now. So most of our listeners are people that work in marketing at a brand somewhere. And we've been talking in what we do, which is like traditional PR and integrated PR. So we've never said we do digital PR. Yeah, we do. We do. It's the same.
Everything
is now digital.
PR,
I said the other day, is digital PR even a fucking thing anymore? Like, are they? They're like
it's like data-driven marketing. Is it?
Yeah.
Is anything not data-driven?
And people, so we used to always say, don't work in silos. But your whole theme today is like the North Star trap. So do you want to explain what that is and how people can be trapped?
So I think it follows on from what I was just saying about the SEO becoming, or SEO link building becoming digital PR. Like as an agency, we saw this thing and we thought, we've solved it, we've cracked it. This is what clients need to do. You can't do this old stuff anymore. You need to be doing this thing. It's the future. And it absolutely was what clients needed. But trying to go in, you can go in.
What was it? Sorry, was that the link building, or was that the Google
PR
data
approach?
Oh, okay.
So this digital PR or PR approach, if you like, to
Yeah.
earning links rather than having to potentially pay for them. And it was very easy to go into. Think of a client, a bigger client, where they've got a digital team or a digital and an e-commerce team, and then they've got a comms team or a brand team. Or we would go into typically the digital team or the e-commerce team, and it was really easy to get people excited about these PR campaigns. If you imagine back in the day when you're selling link building campaigns, it's like, we'll do this bit of content for this blogger and they'll give us some links. When you go in and you move into your world of creative campaign ideas and, how many publications are going to pick it up and we've got this thing over here, which is going to be cool. It was really, really exciting to sell. So you'd get people engaged on client side in, say, the digital team. But we just didn't even figure at the time that there's going to be a PR agency maybe working with the brand team, or there's going to be a comms team internally. So we'd go in and we'd sell this North Star exciting campaign idea, and we just couldn't deliver it. So that's the first example. But then you see it again. I think if you jump to today in this integrated approach, with SEO in particular, like SEO has changed, as you've said. It's changed massively. People aren't just searching on Google. They're searching on social platforms. They're going to Reddit. They're going to YouTube. They're going to ChatGPT. So there's lots of different platforms that people are visiting to get information. Might be searching for products, might be doing research. It's not just go to a search engine, search. So the landscape has completely changed. Also, Google's changed. So even if they do go to that search engine, there's now AI overview, there's AI mode, which is the most recent one. So Google itself has changed, and it's pulling in signals from different areas, from different platforms. It's pulling in signals from those different platforms that we talked about, that like social platforms or content platforms. So the whole landscape has completely changed, and it's continuing to change. Brand is becoming more important because Google increasingly is going to value people that have built actual brand authority. So if you imagine all of those different things that we've talked about, I've talked about content, I've talked about social platforms, I've talked about video, I've talked about search, I've talked about brand. You might look at a client, if you think, where do all of those 5 things sit within a large client? Could be 4 or 5, could be 1 team, could be 5 teams. So if the approach now needs to be integrated across all of those different areas, if, for example, we need to think, let's not think channels, let's not think platforms, let's think audience or customer first. Let's think about who that person is that we want to engage with. Let's think about how we need to engage with them. Let's think about where they are online, what they're searching for, and where they are online at the top of the funnel versus mid-funnel versus lower funnel. Like, they're going all over the place, but it remains one person. So if we flip it all around and say, what's our strategy to engage with this one person throughout the whole funnel, wherever they are online, we need an integrated strategy. And it needs to include content, PR, search, social. So that's the difficulty at the moment.
And that's only going to
new.
work if a client's business is set up in the right way. So how should a client set their marketing teams up then to respond to this kind of new order?
I think that there'll be evolution. I think things will naturally become more integrated over time, but we're ahead of the curve here, or the market's ahead of the curve, similar to back 10, 15 years ago when we started doing digital PR. Like, now, digital PR is just part of SEO. You work with a client and you do SEO, they know you're going to be doing digital PR. So they're set up in such a way whereby it's kind of just part of the structure. But it took a while to get there. So I think the things that we found work really well, I guess this is, well, for the client side marketers listening, you've got to approach it from the top down. So there has to be consensus at the top, whether that's at CMO level, because all of the channels report to CMO, or maybe in smaller businesses at owner or CEO level, because maybe there's different channels report to that person. It has to be a top-down approach, really, to make it work, where the mandate is we all need to work together to achieve this thing, and we need to find a way. If you've got, for example, if you've got a head of digital or an e-commerce director who engages with a search agency in isolation, in a silo, and then that search agency says, okay, well, we also need to be doing PR, and we need to be doing social, and we need to be doing all these different things. It's stuck in that silo. It's very, very difficult to move over and say, well, okay, we need to now I'm bought in, I want to work with you. I need to now get my colleague who runs brand or my colleague who runs comms. And then you've got to, as a team, try to convince those people. And that's hard work to do. So if everybody's involved from the beginning, if everybody's involved from day one, and ideally if it's mandated from the top down, it's a team effort to make it happen. And that's the key learning, I think, that we've had over the years.
Yeah, because I always used to, like you said, like this about the siloed approach, but we used to run events. We've run events for years, and we, like when we worked with Interflora several years ago, and the first thing I said to them when we met them, we did a brief with them years ago, was I need to get all your heads of all the department in one room, and we need to talk about this, which is exactly what you're talking about now. And that was 10, maybe 12, 15 years ago, something like that. And it's still the same. Everybody, all the heads of all need to be on the same page and agree. The one thing that does worry me with SEO agencies doing PR or digital PR for a brand, I know where the pushback's coming from our side of it, will be the reputational side of it. It's like, great, you're going to get some excellent links to, I don't know, Chris Attewell's GEO report on the tractor industry. You're going to get some excellent links to that, but then John Deere tractors will be like, what's that doing for our reputation? Why am I getting media coverage in whatever the title is? And what does that mean for our actual reputation? We don't want to be seen there. We're a premium brand. We want to be seen in the Telegraph or the Times or wherever it is, and only on the business pages. And we don't want to be down in these lower tier. And I think that's where a lot of the pushback is coming, because you've got sort of like comms professionals that want to look at. Our job is to look after the brand and its reputation, its trust, right? But you guys are coming at it from a digital trust side, so I can see where the two worlds sort of go like that.
I think on that's given this new world that we're starting to live in with this more integrated approach. That's a barrier that really has to be overcome. If you think back to what we're talking about, the current SEO landscape of everything coming together, that those two things need to come together, like the brand reputation side of PR and the SEO side of it. Like we would be able to justify it as an SEO agency, going and targeting publications and targeting what you deem as like less relevant publications from a brand point of view, because there was digital and SEO value in getting links and coverage there. So we kind of kept it apart. We would say, we're doing this thing over here for your search rankings, and we're going to get coverage on these kind of sites, which is going to be beneficial. That kept us apart from the pure brand campaigns if the client was running them. They did bleed over into each other. We'd target nationals, we'd get high profile coverage for clients, and we'd give them a brand lift accidentally, if you like. But our brief as an agency wasn't to directly improve brand. It was to directly improve SEO, and indirectly we might improve brand, where I guess for you guys, you'd directly focusing on brand and you'd indirectly benefit digital.
Exactly that.
It seems like a wasted, if you're getting, as an SEO agency, you're getting national bits of media coverage, you're obviously high-fiving the team because you've got a link. I'm not saying you're saying the wrong thing, but not crafting that message and through a reputational lens seems a waste, doesn't it?
I think this is where it's going to have to evolve, because all of these channels are now coming together. Like, in order to effectively do SEO, you're going to have to factor in brand and reputation and authority that way. So that barrier has to be broken down, so that as a client, for client-side marketers, looking at this thing and thinking, how do I get the maximum impact from the PR and brand activities that I'm doing, both directly and indirectly, going both ways, if you like. So it's that I see that as still being a challenge, because you've got a whole industry, you've got a whole PR industry, you've got a whole, you've got people in-house on client side who are brand marketers that are very good at what they do. They've got lots of experience. They've got their team, they've got their budget, and likewise, you've got the same on the digital side. Now, if we're saying that all of these things are converging in the market, there's going to have to be, I think, some kind of convergence in agency world and on client world.
So, like a restructure, the actual thing that everyone's talking about, like the AI restructure, where people go, hang on a minute, people aren't looking at performance, and they're not just looking at brand. They're looking at the whole holistic thing.
I think so. I think it's going to be it's a catalyst for another stage of evolution.
Yeah.
Just like, if you go back, just trying to think of examples, but there have been other times where it's evolved. Like you might not have had a digital department or an e-commerce department however many years ago. You just had a marketing team. So it's kind of all branched out, and maybe now it's going to start to consolidate a little bit.
Well,
more.
I'm that old that I remember when not everybody had a website, and we were doing websites for people.
Now you're
because
going back.
it was like your brochures. I remember doing PR brochures and
Yeah.
for conferences and things like that, and people would say, "Can you send me a brochure?" That was literally the beginning of my career, by the way.
God, it must have been so hard work without a website. I mean, how thinking you'd actually have to go and meet. I mean, how would people ever find you?
So my first job was it's a sales job. I used to sell products. I used to work for a manufacturing company. I'd sell products to like wholesalers, and I had the yellow pages. I'd be calling in the yellow pages. Yeah. I just had all of the yellow pages on a shelf, and I'd start at the beginning. Yeah. I'd call, and I'd try to book. I'd try to get somebody on the phone. When I got them on the phone, I'd then say, "Okay, I'll send you some literature."
Yeah.
And I'd then have to go down to the post room and get all the literature out and put it in an envelope. And we had a franking machine.
Yeah, I had that.
Maybe we'll see a return.
This is what I did for my first job.
Did it? And then I'd have to send all my post out and then put a reminder in like 4 days later.
The franking machine was great because you could run your own letters through it sometimes, couldn't you?
It was brilliant.
It was quite fun when you fired it from one end and it flew out the other end.
But this is 25 years ago. Like, we're not talking about
No.
I mean, it's a huge amount of time in digital and marketing terms, but it's a very, very short amount of time. And if you imagine how marketing, digital has evolved in that time and the different stages of evolution it's gone through, my view is that it's just going to have to evolve again. And this is, in order to stay relevant and successful from an agency perspective, you've always got to be thinking about what's going to come next, where are things going to go, and try to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And I think I would say agencies now are starting to think about that more integrated approach to working with clients. How do we do that? On the SEO side, there's different things. On paid media is a little bit different, but on that organic side, I think agencies now are thinking that's the direction that it's going to go in, and therefore, if they're sensible, they're starting to think, how can we engage with clients in a meaningful way so that we can actually deliver this kind of work rather than just
because
barriers.
I saw something on Marketing Week a couple of weeks ago, and it said, based back to the brand thing, that brand is the most important thing over performance marketing now. Brand marketing is that, but 50%. It said 50. It was in Marketing Week. I believe the stat was 50% of B2B businesses don't do any brand marketing. Embracing marketing mistakes is this B2B podcast of Prohibition PR. Yeah. So, but yeah, most people don't do it because they don't believe in brand. They just do Google clicks, Google PPC or whatever it is. So everybody out there, whether B2B or B2C, need to do brand, and the agencies need to engage with people on a brand basis, don't they? That's where we're at.
So what should, brands listening to this then, they will want to be cutting edge. They want to, they don't want to be left behind. You've already talked about the need for this kind of integrated approach. What else should they do in terms of how they're set up or their way of thinking or their philosophy to marketing?
So I attended a really interesting session a few years ago, run by Google. So we were like a premier ad partner for Google, and as a result, they would set up education sessions and training. It was really, really good. And one of the sessions was run by one of the top tier consultancies. They came in and were trying to explain to us as digital agencies how to get clients to commit to spending quite a lot of money on data and digital transformation projects, because we were kind of clueless. Just to kind of give a bit of backdrop on this one, the platforms like Google now and Meta, they're becoming increasingly automated. So whereas back in the day, the reason we used to hire mathematicians is because you'd go in and you'd calculate bids and you'd manipulate the system to be able to generate output. That's more and more automated now. So it's not necessarily about logging in and who's best at pressing the buttons. It's increasingly about who can feed those systems with data, insights to allow the algorithms, the AI within the systems to be able to then work out how to make the most money. So if that's the way the algorithms are working, the people that are going to win are the people that can feed the best data in. Now, as digital agencies, we therefore need data and insights from clients to be able to deliver value. And we were going to clients and saying, it's all about signals and data and inputs and automation, and therefore, if you just give us all this data, we'll do a better job. And they're turning around and saying, well,
we're not giving you all.
We're not going to give you it because the security issue.
Yeah.
Or we're speaking to the e-commerce team, and they're saying, well, it's not me actually, it's the CIO or the CTO or the tech team that owns the data, and they're not going to give us it.
No chance.
Or that's expensive, and we're not going to see a return on that. There's a lot of work to get the data into a place where we can do something with it. Therefore, we're not going to invest in it. So yeah, Google spotted this, and they brought in one of the top tier consultancies who were selling, multi-million data and digital transformation projects.
Right.
And they gave us a bit of a framework for how to do it, which was really useful. So the main things they said were, well, the first one that I said, which was go from the top down. So go in where the real decision is made, get everybody on board.
But who is the decision made on that level of data?
It depends on the business, really. But in some cases, it's going to be the leader of the business. It's going to be the CEO.
Yeah,
it may be the CMO potentially, but it's potentially from a data transformation perspective. If you're talking about marketing and business data, it's probably going to be the CEO, because you've got a CMO and maybe a CTO who both report to the CEO, and they both need to be involved. If you were talking about this new integrated search, digital, social, it could be the CMO if all of the channels report to the CMO. So it's just understanding the structure of the business and understanding who needs to be involved. So that was the first one. Make sure that you get everybody from day one around the table. Another one that was really interesting was it's fine to show what that North Star or that kind of end goal is, even if it's a stretch, but it has to be chunked down into stages.
Right.
So your North Star bells and whistles solution might be stage 5.
And what was that? That was one customer view, everything.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be the all singing, all dancing, data driven, like AI driven data insights model that was feeding the algorithms.
Yeah,
that might be stage 5, but you've got four stages to get to before you can even do stage 5. So it's both getting buy-in that stage 5 is the goal, like this is where we're all aiming, but actually it's saying what's important now is stage 1. We just need to do stage 1. In order that we can then do stage 2, because we can't do stage 5 unless we do stage 1 and then stage 2 and then stage 3.
Yeah.
So chunk it down that way, show the full journey.
Yeah.
But say, well, actually, we just need to do this thing. And the important thing that they said around that was it's showing value. So stage 1 needs to deliver value.
Yeah. Everything needs to
deliver value. Early. It's short-term, long-term goal, short-term value. Deliver value from stage 1. Get all of the skeptical people bought in because you've delivered early value. You can then all move together, stage 2, and kind of move it through that way.
And you've sold them the chain, haven't you? Then and you're then engaged in that business for
absolutely,
months and years.
From an agency perspective, the challenge that you have is if you just try to sell them stage 5 without the other stages, it's really, really difficult to do because they just can't deliver it and they get put off by the complexity. If you just sell them stage 1 without showing them where you're heading, you then have to re-engage to try to do stage 2 and then re-engage to do stage 3. And that's really, really difficult as well. So it has to be that balanced approach of we're all agreed that we're heading over there, but also we're all agreed that we just need to do this thing first. And that's what we're focused on. And that's what we need to show value from.
I mean, one of the questions I've got is how far did you get down the stages? Did you actually get to stage 3?
I mean, this could be a long-term process. But yeah, that's... You do, if you do it in that way, you can move forward. If you've got everybody who's required from the beginning involved and has a seat around the table, then you've got those barriers are removed. If you can do stage 1 and show some value and show some business value and some return on investment, you're more likely to get through stage 2. But it's a process. Any kind of change that requires multiple departments and multiple people and investment in a big business is going to be a long, complicated, sometimes painful process. But if you don't make that change, you get left behind.
I feel like Michael Jackson music should have dropped on. I'm going to make that change. That's another one for our young listeners there.
Any other problematic singers that you like to reference?
Have you got a Gary Glitter club? So just to add, I guess there's one more really interesting one on this, which I think we found the hard way.
What's that?
Which is sometimes clients don't need the North Star.
What do they need then?
They just need some value now. Like you'll have some clients where, let's say, for example, you'll have clients now who are searching for an SEO agency because they know they've got an SEO issue or a challenge or a goal or whatever, and they just want an SEO agency. Now, they've got a budget there to give to an SEO agency, and they may be very siloed. They may know that it's not even worth their time trying to bring those silos together. They just need someone to come in and do some traditional SEO work. It's easy to fall into a trap as an agency of seeing that and saying, oh, no, you don't need SEO. You need this integrated search everywhere.
And that must be so frustrating for brands that know they don't need that solution.
They don't, or they know they may need it, but they're just not in a position.
Support.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get excited as a forward-looking, innovative agency to then turn around and say, but what you actually need is this big thing over here.
So choose your battles.
Pick your battles. If somebody just wants some SEO and they've got an SEO budget and you can deliver some real business value from that budget, do the SEO work. Like, don't be too proud or innovative that you're going to shut people away.
We sort of get that with the PR stuff. Like even on when we talk about the PR brand references, like there was I'd say 5-6 years ago, all PR, it was blooming a lot. Well, not all PR, but media relations. A lot of it was like the latest top 10 report to find out, and here it is, a research done by insert brand name. And then you'd get coverage in the Express, the Mail, and stuff like that. And then a client would go, great, I've got 35 pieces of national coverage, and I've got this and that. but it's just saying that we've done this research. What's that doing for our reputation? And we're like, okay, but that's the hook to getting you in the media. So the two sides of it, it's the same for both, for everyone basically. You've got to try and make it work for the client as best as you can. Now, this show is all about mistakes, and you've run. Well, you ran Search Labs for over 10 years, was it?
10 years of Search Labs and 3 years as part of Havas, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing. So you must have made some mistakes in your time. Is there a particular mistake that you've made in your career that you can reflect on now that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think
it will help them in their job.
The more lurid, the better.
Do you know what? Well, this is the thing. I think I'm thinking more back towards that. When I first started working doing sales and being out on the road all the time, like I learned so much doing that. I was 22, straight out of uni, had never had a proper job before, and I was traveling around Europe, selling stuff, basically selling products, and I learned so much doing it. The responsibility of, here's a credit card, book yourself a flight, get a hire car, go and meet all these people, sell some products, and come back was brilliant. I messed up so many times doing it, being young and stupid. I'd miss flights. I'd not check the office address of where I was going, and I'd end up in a different town if it was so many stupid things. I guess my best ones that I can think of, I remember I first got a laptop, which was fairly early on, early 2000s.
Was it one of them chunky ones?
It was massive, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sounds
not many
like a
people.
helicopter taking off.
Yeah. Not many people had laptops in the early
were cool, weren't
2000s
they,
for work,
Yeah.
And they were huge. And I'd argued that I needed this laptop, and then in the end, I got this laptop. First trip out, I reversed over it in my car. I was getting, it was brilliant. So I had my bag with my laptop in, and I had a load of samples, product samples in the boot of my car. Put my bag down, opened the samples from the boot of the car. Oh no, I'd put them back in, that was it, because I was driving away. Put the samples back in the car, shut the boot, walked around, reversed over the laptop. So that was a good one.
Crunch, gone.
Gone, totally gone.
Right.
Did you try and hide it for
How much,
months and months?
These are $2,000 laptops as well back
They
in
were
the day.
pretty expensive,
Yeah.
I said, I can't remember what I said at the time. I didn't say I'd reversed over it though. But
Honesty and integrity there from Mr. Attewell.
Another brilliant one that I can remember from that time was I was going in to do a pitch at a client.
Okay.
And I used to wear suits at the time, full suit and tie. And I had some product samples with me, and I'd taken the product samples out of the boot and I put them on the floor, shut the boot, bent down and ripped the seat of my pants of my suit. But I'm not talking about just a little rip around the seam. From the hem, from the waistband, all the way down the seam and down the inside leg as well.
Just flapping.
Total flapping, yeah. And I had to walk in and do this pitch.
Like martial arts pants from these.
Honestly, I just stood there and thought,
Did you just own it?
what do I do? What do I do here?
What did you do?
I just walked in and did the pitch.
What, with your trousers flapping around in the wind?
Yeah. I just had to do it. I had no choice.
Did you win the pitch?
I sold some stuff, yeah.
Great.
But I was like, it's one of those moments where you think, well, I just don't know what I'm going to do here.
We've literally spoken to 4 or 5 people recently, and it's everyone's got pitch nightmares. I'm going to do a pitch nightmare special, I think, where we ask people on LinkedIn to send us in there, because no one wants to talk about mistakes, but everyone wants to talk about pitch fails from both sides.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
camps that you've been you're in house, you've been pitched to, that's just completely wrong.
Yeah.
Or the other side, doing some pitch nightmares where people have been hungover and they've turned up and forgotten that turned up to the wrong. We had one guy who used to work with me, and it was for the Discovery Channel, right? And they had a pitch down in London, and we were up in Leeds, still up in Leeds, and basically we'd won this pitch for the Discovery Channel. Great, spent loads of time on it, and we all got put the work together. Now I wasn't on this pitch for some reason, can't remember what for. I wasn't on the pitch team at the time for some reason. I was somewhere else, and thankfully, so this isn't my mistake. Anyway, so they booked the pitch, and they all headed down there, 6 of them, down to the Discovery Channel. Meanwhile, the client headed up to their office because
brilliant.
they'd agreed to do it at their office.
Brilliant.
So they ended up at the
Do you think they crossed somewhere?
yeah
or something?
somewhere in Shropshire.
Brilliant.
I don't know. And I think they actually won the brief, but there's loads of them. Everyone's done the wrong location and everything, haven't they?
Styling out a completely ripped pair of trousers, though, I quite like that.
Do you know what? I didn't even. I think thinking back, I walked into I'm not sure everyone can see this room. Walked into a meeting room like this with a desk. I didn't even say anything. I walked straight in, facing forwards.
Sat down.
I sat down at the table.
Hid, basically.
Basically hid, and then got up and kind of walked out backwards, saying thanks. See ya.
Moon walked out.
Yeah, but then I had
Flash of buttock as you left the room.
I don't think they realised.
Didn't they?
No, I don't think so. But then
He's really weird, that Chris. He
just
walks
walks
backwards
yeah.
everywhere he goes.
I had another meeting straight afterwards. I had another pitch like 2 hours later. So I was like, what? So I had to go straight to a supermarket, like black pair of trousers straight on. And
George.
So I pulled it out, but
okay.
yeah,
I mean,
that was pretty embarrassing.
Decent. I mean, I did something. We used to have an office in Headingley, and I think Will might remember this. Do you remember when I walked into the meeting and it was a new business meeting, and the door handle I had
you caught it on the door handle.
I caught my pocket on the door handle as I walked in, and it ripped open my trouser. So I've had a similar, and it was a joke. It was called a trouser malfunction for ages because it was a reference to the Janet Jackson.
Oh yeah.
But it was a proper It made the sound, and I styled it out as well. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had trouser clothing malfunctions at some point. Do you remember that, Will?
I do, actually. Didn't you do it twice?
Yeah, well, I also did it at a wedding, slightly drunk, which my wife found hilarious. We were at a wedding, and I might have tried to do the splits. And
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, and the trousers
in a pair of
suit trousers, linen suit trousers, and I did the Chris Attewell moonwalk into the room, and then I had because it was quite early on, and well, it wasn't that early on because we've been drinking for ages, and I spent my wife kept saying to me, why are you stood next to the wall? And I was stood right, like against the wall because it was the back of the, the window up there.
Yeah.
And I said, can we go home now? And she just sent me home in a taxi, sat with me, and she stayed out. I think we've covered quite a lot. I'm trying to think of anything else that I need to ask you.
Why don't you let people know where they can...
Yeah, what are you doing now?
What are you doing now and how...
Yeah, what am I doing now? I've started doing consultancy and board advisory for agencies. Search Labs was acquired by Havas in 2022. So I then spent best part of 3 years working at Havas as part of the integration. And then, beginning of this year, decided it was time for a bit of a change. Didn't really have any plan. I just, having gone through that process, which was brilliant and rewarding, but quite hard work at the same time, I thought a bit of time off.
So you got on your private yacht?
Unfortunately not.
Right.
Unfortunately not. I got on my bike for a bit, but
you're selling the dream to me and Will. Yeah.
So a bit of time off. I thought I'll just work out what I want to do. Maybe I'll get a job. Maybe I'll don't know. But then I just got a bit bored and started speaking to some people I knew in the agency world and having a few conversations, and that then turned into some paid work.
So what sort of work are you doing though?
Yeah, a bit of a mix really. So. Kind of non-exec board advisory type work for some agencies. I've done some one-off projects, a bit of training, change consultancy.
So you can help get client-side businesses, marketing teams in order, can you? Or is that not part of your remit?
Do you know what? I think I've not done work directly for clients, but I think helping clients select agencies, work better with agencies, engage more meaningfully with agencies, review their agencies is definitely something that I've got on my radar.
Keep them away from our clients.
But no, it's really good. I think having that time to sit and reflect on actually not like a midlife crisis moment, but what do I want to do with my life? The fact that I've gravitated back towards agencies.
It's because you get the buzz out of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and I think you having done it for so long and having built a really good network and having all that experience, we went through a lot at Search Labs in terms of evolution, and like we launched in the US, so I was there for a bit.
I remember that.
Yeah, we evolved our proposition. We launched new services. We did like Sunday Times Top 100. We did B Corp. We did all these different. We did acquisition. We did all these different things that. At the time, you kind of just go through it and you think, this is interesting, this is interesting. But then when you take a step back and speak to other agencies, I maybe underestimated the value in that experience. So now to be able to go and share it is quite rewarding.
Yeah,
actually.
because as agency, well, any leadership role is quite a lonely place because you can't, your staff can't really, your team can help you, but they don't understand the responsibility, I think. And so when I felt like we've just recently joined a group called WorldCom, which is the biggest independent network of PR agencies in the UK. We're one of two in the UK, I think. And we're complementary to everybody in there, but in that group. But what I found absolutely refreshing from my side of it is we've always shied away from, apart from I've got a few friends who own agencies, but we don't really deal with other, because at the end of the day we're in competition, and so you just sort of get on, like you just said, you just get on and do stuff. But when you actually sit down and talk to people like yourself or other agency owners, it's refreshing when you can just have a candid chat about everybody's dealing with similar situations.
Some of it is just sense checking that what you already know. Like you're probably on the right path, but you just need a second opinion. A lot of it actually is especially when you speak to maybe smaller agencies with less experience and where there's maybe only one person. You guys have got each other to speak to, maybe a network of people, but they'll sit there and they'll stew over things and not make a decision because they're worried they'll make the wrong decision. And the amount of time, like the lost cost opportunity of that time. And the headspace and the distraction of just not making a decision.
Any decision's better than indecision, isn't it?
Yeah, and being able to call somebody externally or have a chat and just say, what do you reckon? And chances are, 13 years of doing it, I've probably bumped into most things. I'm not saying I got them all right, but I at least have the experience to be able to say, if I were in your position, I'd maybe think about that one or, question why we're thinking so. So it's good, I enjoy it.
And you're good with numbers as well. So the numbers side of it is one of the interesting bits that I'll definitely chat to you about, because you can be on top of your numbers but the fact that you've sold an agency to been part of the selling the agency to Havas Group, which is one of the biggest in the world. I actually know the chairman. I think I mentioned his name to you, didn't I? He's like of the global side of it. And that you've done that, and then you've also you've then been part of a public owned company as well, where you've got to have your numbers completely different again, which is fascinating if there's somebody out there that it needs help with how to interpret the numbers, because people just are obsessed with profit or whatever the numbers are that you're looking at. I think being able to interpret the numbers and make sure that you're making the right decisions based, because at leadership level, that's what you're looking at, numbers.
That's a key thing that I learned. I think we were very good, I would say, at Search Labs before we sold. We had a fantastic finance team. We had a really experienced finance team, and our processes and our reports and our management information were great. It was very easy as a leader to get a report every month and understand what was going on and make a decision. And I just assumed that was normal. But it's not. I don't think in any business, not a lot of agencies, and I assume on client side it's probably a similar kind of thing to along. But then going into a much larger business, like a publicly listed company where like forecasting and reporting is like all the forecasts get pushed up to global head office because they have to report to the market. So you've got to be on top of it. So I think I had a good baseline, but then it got ratcheted up another level. So it's that not understanding what's going on in the business and not, I would say, having a forward-looking view of what's going to happen in your business, like a forecast-based approach, makes it really difficult to make decisions, really difficult to see where you're going and be able to course correct. And I think that's, like I say, that conversations I have with agencies will typically start with, let's just have a look at your numbers. Let's have a look at the way that you report and the information that you have to make decisions, and then putting in place some kind of foundations to allow them to do it better.
So how can people find you then? Should they look you up on LinkedIn?
Look me up on LinkedIn is the easiest one, Connect on LinkedIn. I'm there for the moment.
Attewell with an E, not an A, right?
Attewell.
Yeah.
There you go.
Totally spelled it wrong there. Embracing a marketing mistake there.
Well, thanks very much. That was excellent.
Thanks
no
for
worries.
coming on,
Really
mate.
enjoyed
That's
that.
really good.
Yeah.